Chapter 9. The Conservative Counter-Revolution in the Era of Reagan and George H.W. Bush. During the 1970s, domestic federal spending rose rapidly. The conservative themes of the paradoxical decade were soon contending with liberal policy changes. However, in 1980, Ronald Reagan won the presidential election, giving the conservative supremacy and the Republican Party control of the U.S. Senate. Reagan was a very conservative president. He really valued the self-made man who achieved success through hard work, persistence, and risk-taking. He ignored the importance of discrimination and racism, believing that African Americans, Latinos, and Native Americans could emulate the successes of white citizens if they only tried hard enough. He also did not like the idea of social welfare programs and aiding the poor. During his first 8 months of presidency, he secured major budget cuts, tax cuts, the elimination of major regulations, reductions in the federal government's policy roles, and massive increases in military spending. In 1981, he led 3 major victories for conservatives. The Omnibus Budget Reconciliation Act made deep cuts in social programs and eliminated 57 of them by folding them into 7 block grants. In August, Reagan oversaw the largest tax cut since the end of World War II. In the fall, he greatly increased defense spending. In 1984, Reagan ran again for presidency and won, soon beginning his second term. His second term was mostly focused on defense spending, the military, and tax reform. In 1988, George H.W. Bush was elected president. Bush, like Reagan, believed that the U.S. should maintain a worldwide military presence. During his presidency, social spending rose even higher than it did in the Reagan administration. Bush was the former head of the CIA and an ambassador to China and the UN, so he was preoccupied with foreign policy for most of his term. During the 80s, many groups faced oppression. In 86, women on average earned 64 cents to every dollar a man earned. People of color suffered from the loss of American industrial and unionized jobs. The poor suffered economically because of all the cuts in social benefits. Immigrants faced many hardships, including low wages, unsafe and unregulated conditions. In the 80s, AIDS became an epidemic and made things very difficult for gays and lesbians. An estimated 138,000 people died due to this disease. People with disability were also oppressed, as were children. The well-being of children depended greatly on the economic and social conditions of their parents and the kinds of service programs they received from society. So during this time period, the rates of poverty among children and youth rose rapidly. Aging Americans also faced challenges with consumer fees associated with Medicare that were very high, and many services were not even covered. Treatment for it were also very limited. Homelessness was another growing problem at this time. These people had very little income and not a lot of government help. So what was it like for social workers during this time? Despite the various attacks on different social programs, the profession of social work stayed pretty resilient. Social workers worked to help the numerous social issues made worse with all the budget cuts. To name a few, these workers worked to aid abused children, those suffering with AIDS, homelessness, and Alzheimer's disease. There was also a great emphasis placed on diversity, that is, making sure social work services were relevant to a wide range of oppressed populations.
Created using Powtoon.